Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay, you guys can see my screen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I kind of had like a similar thing. We'll go through the basics of what JavaScript is. But then to answer your JSON versus XML, basically JSON is just simpler and quicker to read and type. So here's what it would be in JSON to create an object, and then this would be the same in XML. So it's kind of just a lot easier to read, and then it's easier to type.
That's awesome.
And then if you use XML, like if you're retrieving XML, you have to parse it first. But with JSON, you can just call the JSON.parse and it'll do it for you. So it's just simpler to use, but a lot of older companies will still be using XML just because that's what they already have in place. They don't want to spend the time and resources to switch to JSON. I think there was one class where I had to use XML. I don't remember what it was, but everything else I've just used JSON. Does that make sense? We good on that?
Yes, thank you. That's great.
So I decided to create like an example for each one and then kind of run it so you guys can see how it works. So first, to show you how Stringify works, I created an this is actually an array of objects. Each object has display and URL. So then I did JSON.stringify. So this turns this, this is a JavaScript object. So it'll turn it into that JSON, JSON file. And then I have it putting the JSON back here into the HTML. But then I wanted to take it one step further. So I created a function here that actually lets you download the JSON file to your computer. It's kind of not really important like what this function does because there's like a ton of different ways to do it, and you typically won't be just downloading JSON to your computer. You'll be like reading JSON from a web server. Basically, I just call it and put it into a JSON.txt file. So if I open up that HTML, so here's that JSON. This is what the JSON would look like. But then I also have it saving to my computer. So I'll just save it as JSON.txt. Okay, so now I have this JSON information in that text file on my computer. So then I created another, using the XML HTTP request, I can retrieve that JSON data that's saved on my computer. So first you have to do the XML HTTP.onReadyState change. This just says when you load the page to perform this function. So if the status is good, if there's no like error loading the web page, then it will go ahead and run it. I created a new array here in JavaScript, and I have it store that JSON. So it'll parse that text file that I've saved on my computer. And then when you finish doing the onReadyState change, you do XML HTTP.open. And this is the, I kind of commented it here, but it's the method, the URL, and if it's asynchronous or not. So the method, this is the method it's using over HTTP to retrieve the information. I'm just doing get, and then the URL, which is right here, JSON.txt. Typically, it would be a web address, because typically you're doing this over the internet, not just locally. And then asynchronous is true. That's if you're using Ajax. So you could take that out. It just defaults to true because you always want to use Ajax because it makes things a lot faster on your web page. And then I go ahead and send that request using this. So it'll retrieve that text file and it'll store it, the JSON text file, and it'll store it in this JavaScript array. Then I'll pass the array to this function that'll kind of, it'll parse that information from the JSON. Well, sorry, I won't parse it. So the JSON, I already stored that as a JavaScript object. So I'm just running through the array and taking each object and displaying it. So the array URL and the array display, and I'm storing that into a link hyperscript. So then I'll take that all this information and I'll display it where I put the div ID place here. So it'll display right here. So I'll show you how that works. Click on my HTML file. So it runs through all that and displays it. And let me show you kind of how the code works.
Also, I love that text editor. I use the same one, Sublime.
Oh, Sublime? Yeah, it's pretty good. Do you know why it's not showing the code?
No, it's really weird. You can try a different browser, see if it does the same thing.
Yeah, I'll try refreshing. Yeah, maybe I'll open it in Chrome. And of course, it doesn't work in Chrome now. Well, basically, it's just turning it into HTML. So each element is just putting it in that link here.
That's really weird.
Yeah, that's weird that it wouldn't show up. Anyways, does that kind of make sense? Do you guys have questions about like the XML HTTP request? Is there like something in this code that maybe doesn't make sense? Do you want me to explain more?
Nope. I think I need to review it some more on my own, but that was a good demo.
Yeah, it sometimes it just takes some playing around with.
Hey, Addison, you said you haven't done 2.13 yet, right?
Right. Yeah.
You'll do this in 2.13. That's right. Found it. You work on like all tons of different languages.
That's a back-end web development, right? Is that what that class is?
I wouldn't fully call it backend. You do JavaScript, HTML, you do a little bit of XML, you do like everything, like a little bit of everything. Like every week you're doing something new.
Okay, cool.
Now it makes sense to me. It looks kind of crazy at first, but it's just once you learn the commands, you just throw them in. And it's not that bad.
Right.
Like the ready state threw me off, but.
So this would be used to retrieve and send data, right? From like an actual database?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, not necessarily a database. Like it's just a JSON text file.
Just like a way to get some sort of data or even text or whatever from something.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I would use it for like a ton of data. Just for basic like web apps. If you have like a basic function you're doing.
Okay.
JSON.
I heard it's used in IT work, but I don't know how common it is.
But here's the text file it made. If you guys want to see that, it's just JSON.
Dude, JSON gets like crazy when there's a lot of it.
Yeah. But that's what it looks like when it saves it in the text file. It's just a long string of text. Okay, well, does anyone have any questions about anything that we kind of covered today?
No, I don't think so.
I like using W3 schools. The examples make it really clear, like seeing all the code out and stuff. It's super nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys like have questions about JSON, I would go to just the W3 Schools JSON page because they kind of, it's like really easy to understand, and they let you do like examples and play around with it on their web servers. So
In my PowerPoint, which I'll post, I have the links to the sites I talked about, and there's an example link in them too that W3 Schools has. It's kind of the code you're playing around with. It has that exact thing. You can like run it and stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.
do you guys want me to share these to our drive or no?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Or at least through Google Hangouts. Hey, why not Google Hangouts or something?
Okay. I'll upload those.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.